Well, everybody, welcome to part 2 of the critically acclaimed series on my channel where we take a look at awful Sunstar Halloween animatronic ripoffs. So we're back at it again, as I promised, with some brand new Sunstar Halloween animatronic ripoffs. We'll be taking a look at so many today, so really I don't want to hesitate too much. But of course, you guys know Sunstar is one of those very cheap Halloween companies that makes the cheapest props around, and they tend to rip off many other good, hardworking companies and turn their awesome original characters into horrible abominations. And as always in this series, we take a look at them and I give my thoughts and opinions on each of them and just describe how awful they really are. So again, we have so many to look at today, so I guess without any more hesitation, as you saw in the compilation before, let's jump right into it. Alright, here's the real thing. Nightcrawler from Spirit Halloween 2020, and here's the knockoff. Oh, this thing is awful. But I do have to put credit where credit is due. This is probably the most high-effort Sunstar prop to date. You can really tell they went all in here to rip this guy off as closely as possible, but also managed to make him look completely disgusting and a complete and utter abomination in the process. But wait, we have a video for this one, so I'll play it for you right now. Wow, okay, I'm sorry for destroying all your brain cells and burning out your retinas and making your ears bleed by watching that, but I just really had to show you. So, first of all, since you just watched it, let's discuss the animation here. Oh my god, is it awful. I mean, come on, like, it is, like, so bad. It is the most ugly reused thing that Sunstar has reused to death, and Nightcrawler is actually a jump scare prop, and they couldn't even pull that off properly, to no one's surprise. It is just so bad, the animation here. It is this stupid, classic Sunstar garbage animation they put on so many props. And the audio, oh my god, the audio. He is not a freaking zombie, and where the hell are the chain sound effects coming on? This is the stupid goddamn zombie groaning sounds they have used for years now, and they put it on pretty much anything that's a zombie, and obviously, as you can see here, stuff that's not even a zombie, and it has these awful chains in the background that make no sense for the prop if they have no chains on them. So it is just the most dumbest and stupid sounding thing in the whole world, pretty much. Also, let's discuss how this thing looks. Again, I'll have to give credit where credit is due. This is probably the most detailed and probably the most accurate ripoff we've seen so far, so I'll give them props there. Even though it looks alright, it is definitely made out of the most cheap quality plastic available on the market. And also it does something the original doesn't. It actually has back feet. The original just reuses the same two hand molds for the front and back legs. So this one actually does something that the original one didn't, and it adds a little bit more. So I have to say, it probably is better than the original. I'm just messing with you. This thing is definitely one of their worst yet. It is just embarrassing to see how close they got, and they just managed to destroy a beloved Spirit Halloween character. So, anyways, that's it for this guy. Absolutely awful. So let's take a look at the next knockoff. Alright, here's the next one. Crouchy from Spirit Halloween 2019, and here's the knockoff. Oh my god, is this one awful. Obviously, this is another very, very blatant one indeed. They weren't even trying to do anything original with this one, and pretty much just copied Crouchy one for one, and in the process, turning him into a complete and utter abomination. And I have to say, this one is pretty funny. So, as you could see, you could see how the real one just looks so much better than this knockoff. It is so funny how bad they did here. Obviously, the clothes are ripped off pretty much one for one here, but made out of the most cheap quality plastics and materials imaginable. And also, you can tell by his face, they pretty much tried the hardest they could while reusing a face mold they have probably used a million times at this point. And it's just so embarrassing to see Sunstar mess up with this one again. It is just very funny. And obviously, this thing is nowhere near the size of the actual Crouchy, pretty much eliminating any point to this being ripped off at all, since Crouchy's main allure is his absolute gigantic size, and this thing is probably no no taller than 5 feet, so obviously they messed up here again, especially with this one, and it is just pretty funny, in my opinion, to see how badly they messed up. Alright, here's the real thing. Creepy roaming bear from Spirit Halloween, and here's the knockoff. Ugh. Somehow they managed to turn a bad prop into something even worse. Now, yet again, this is a very blatant ripoff. Obviously, the face is pretty close. They actually managed to do a pretty alright job here. But obviously, this thing is absolute garbage, being a hanging prop, and it's just so stupid looking. First of all, the face looks somehow even worse than the original ones did. And again, I don't know how they managed to go turn a bad prop. First of all, why would they rip off Creepy Roaming Bear? He is already a pretty bad prop, in my opinion, and turn him into something 10 times worse. I just have to say this thing looks absolutely god awful. Again, made out of the most cheapest qualities possible, and like the way they did it is just so bad. But I'm gonna have to be honest, they did pretty good job getting this thing as accurate as possible to rip it off. He pretty much just has different colored overalls and no feet, of course, but it is just a very stupid looking hanging prop, and I just think it honestly sucks. If this wasn't a ripoff, I think it would be alright, but to be honest, this is one of their better ones, definitely very closely ripped off though, and I still think it is awful. Alright, here's the real thing. Techie Toys' standing surprise Scarecrow for the 2018 Halloween season, I think. And here's the knockoff. Ugh, another awful one. Now, this one really does suck in my opinion, since obviously the whole point of the standing surprise Scarecrow is that his head pops up. And what do you think this one does? Well, I can guarantee you it does not have a jump scare. This one looks really awful, probably doesn't even have any animation, and if it does, it just has the really stupid looking sunstar animation they use in all their stuff. But this one just really looks bad in my opinion. First of all, the Scarecrow face, they definitely tried here, and it is pretty blatant, but it really does suck. Honestly, if they just changed up the clothing here to make it look a little bit different or not copy exactly off of what Techie Toys did, maybe I wouldn't have considered it a knockoff, but since they pretty much copied the clothes one for one, yeah, this is a friggin' knockoff, and I really do hate this one. It just looks so cheap. You could tell from the legs here and the whole pole-based system they have going on that this is definitely one of their most cheap props to date. They probably used as little quality materials and probably as little materials as they can, because you could obviously tell his feet aren't even long enough to touch the ground. So this thing is honestly one of the worst ones we've seen to date. It looks like a horrible janky mess, and you know what, I can't stand to look at this abomination anymore. Get out of my sight. Here's the real thing, the classic Grave Watcher from Spirit Halloween, and here's the knockoff. This one sucks. This is definitely one of their worst ones to date, being probably one of the most awful things I've ever seen in my whole life, and honestly, it hurts my eyes just looking at it, but I'll power through it for you guys. But this thing really does suck. So first of all, just one thing it does better, I'll give a little bit of pros here, just real quick, is that it is probably taller than the actual original Grave Watcher. The original Grave Watcher was about only 3 feet tall, and this one seems to either be hanging or a taller standing prop, which is pretty impressive for Sunstar. But other than that, everything about this thing is awful. So first of all, let's get the biggest thing out of the way, the face. What the hell is this? This looks like a friggin' baby doll, for crying out loud. Like, what is this? I don't understand what they were thinking here with this face mold. And why the hell is it blue? Like, I thought you were trying to rip this prop off, not make your own original thing. But obviously, it is a rip-off, and it is an awful monstrosity. And where the hell are the candles? If you're gonna rip it off properly and give her the candles that probably make this prop so unique. And it's just so awful. The clothes look terrible, just everything about it. And just seeing these two things side by side, you could really tell how creepy the original Grave Watcher looks and how absolutely stupid this knockoff looks. I really cannot stand this one. It is probably the worst one we looked at so far in this video. And just get it out of my damn sight. This thing sucks. Alright, now we have a tabletop to talk about. Here's the real thing, the Spirit Halloween 2018 Terror Clown, and here's the knockoff. Oh my god. Now, this one is definitely awful, and it is definitely very interesting to see a tabletop now. And again, of course, this is an extremely blatant ripoff. You could tell from the clothes, the face, they were just really trying to rip this guy off one for one here, and I say they got pretty close. None other than this one looks absolute dog crap, and I really can't take it with them ripping off these type of things anymore. First of all, his knife is so much smaller than the actual original one, so yeah, pretty much everything about this guy really does suck, and there's just nothing good here. This is definitely one of the trashiest ripoffs, and it is very interesting again to see a tabletop. I'm honestly pretty interested to see what kind of garbage animation it has, but overall, I'm very surprised that they actually went and ripped off a tabletop, and definitely we could tell no matter what the size is, it'll still look awful. Here's the real thing. Rosemary Zombie Girl from Spirit Halloween, definitely one of the most popular older props out there, and here's the ripoff. Oh my god, this thing looks awful. They definitely took some creative liberties here. Instead of her eating a brain, she has an arm, and instead of her being a girl, she's a bride. But I can't say those creative liberties were for the better, since it still looks awful nonetheless. First of all, why is she 3 feet taller in that really stupid sitting position? You could literally see her poles through her skirt, which is the most funny part in my opinion, and it just looks so bad. So she's supposed to be a bride, so obviously she's supposed to be a full-grown woman, so why is she still 3 feet tall? I guess the world will never know. They're really trying to rip off Rosemary here. And we do get a small glimpse at the animation by this picture here, where you can see her head is tilted down, biting the arm. So I'm guessing her head just goes up and down repeatedly throughout her animation, and I'm sure it looks awful. And I just think this one is definitely one of the worst ones out there. It just looks so cheap, so crappy. And one thing I do have to commend here is probably the hand. It looks alright. I think they should have used that mold for the actual hand she has instead of the one she's biting into. And I just think it looks really, really awful. Her face looks awful, and you could just really see from the side-by-side comparison here how awful the knockoff really does look. So I just cannot stand this one. This one sucks for sure, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be taking personal offense from this one for Sunstar for ripping her off, and I have to say I do too. Now, here we have the real thing, the beloved Uncle Charlie. And here is the knockoff. Oh my god, what is this garbage? Alright, so this is obviously one of their worst ones yet. This thing is seriously, like, I just cannot even. I am honestly baffled they had the balls to go and rip off Uncle Charlie. That seems like one that people should be riding over. And I'm not sure why they aren't, but anyways, I'm honestly so surprised Sunstar even had the balls to rip this one off, because, I mean, people will actually go wild. If more people see this, which I'm sure they are from this video, people are going to be so pissed off with Sunstar, it's going to be unreal. But this one just honestly looks hilariously bad in my opinion. First of all, where the hell are the shoes? There's just no feet here whatsoever to speak of, which is honestly one of the funniest parts about this. The clothes look awful, and it's pretty clearly they're trying to copy Uncle Charlie as closely as possible. And of course they forgot his two essential things, his lollipop and his bucket, which is really stupid since, like, come on, you're losing out a lot here. I'm honestly surprised he didn't even have the bucket, but just making this guy even worse. Also, his face looks so bad. I mean, it is that same goddamn clown face head mold they have used for so many props now. It's unreal. I'm pretty sure it's the most reused thing ever in the terms of reusing stuff. And also, the hair and the hat just looks so cheaply made and so garbage quality. And I'm sure the animation is absolutely awful on this one too. Overall, definitely one of the worst ones we've seen so far. And again, I am definitely very surprised they even had the balls to rip off Uncle Charlie. And hey, if this doesn't start a mass riot, I'm not sure what will. Now we come to our final ripoff of the season, being the worst in my opinion, and what I take extreme offense to being, here's the real thing again, the Gravedigger, sold at Home Depot in the Halloween 2020 season, and here is the ripoff. Oh my god. You're about to hear a massive rant. First of all, this thing is awful. What were they thinking? Why would they rip off one of the greatest props of all time? So I take extreme personal offense against this one, since I own the Gravedigger. And seeing this and seeing him butchered and made into this awful monstrosity and just absolute dog shit prop makes me take extreme personal offense, and this thing is so bad. So let's just get started off with the most dumb thing about this. Why the hell does he have a skeleton instead of his lantern and shovel? Like, they couldn't even put a lantern on him. They have to have him holding a skeleton of a toddler, since that thing is nowhere near big enough to be an actual human, full-grown human being. So this guy looks like he murdered a child. And also, what the hell is going on with him waving? Why the hell is he in this waving position? Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? He's supposed to be digging graves, not waving at people. Also, he's another one of those goddamn props with no feet to speak of. Like, what are they thinking? And also, His clothes are pretty close, actually, but they're made of the cheapest shit qualities possible. What the hell? This is the cheapest material we've seen yet. You could literally see right through it. Also, the face. What were they thinking? Another reused face mold that they've used a million times on their props. And why the hell is his skin just white? It makes no sense. It's just straight up white. He's not a ghost. He's meant to be a human being. And also, his hair and his hat, of course, look awful and terrible. This one is one I take extreme personal offense to, since I own the Gravedigger and he's one of my favorite props of all time. And they just go and absolutely turn him into an absolute abomination. And this thing really does make me hate Sunstar more than anything else in the whole goddamn world. Now, this is definitely one of the worst ripoffs I've seen yet, and I just cannot stand this one. And if you end up managing to find this and purchase it online, please make a video of yourself destroying this thing, because I want to see this thing burn in hell. Well, that's it for all the ripoffs for this season, and I have to say, they've definitely gotten worse. Be sure to check out part 1, and we'll wrap things up after I do a bit of a recap, but take one more look at this asshole of a ripoff, and we'll finish up the video. Alright everybody, well that wraps up this season's new ripoffs from Sunstar, and I have to say I'm very pleased with what they made this year, or I should say absolutely pissed, but honestly I find these funny, and I think they should keep making them since they're honestly just an absolute blast to make fun of and talk about with you guys. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate all the support on this series. It is definitely one of the most popular series on my channel, so I definitely appreciate every single one of you guys who watch these and definitely enjoy them, since all of us have fun laughing at Sunstar's crap together. But that's going to be about it, so let's head to the outro. Well, everyone, that's it for today's video, and happy October 1st if you're watching this on the day it comes out. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. October is finally here, and let me know what you guys think. Which was the worst ripoff in your opinion? Be sure to watch part 1 of this, and the 2 from last year as well. Always got to remind you guys to watch those because, hey, they make so many funny bad ones that you really need to see them all. So that's pretty much it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe as always. Also check out the merch and my Instagram in the description below. And with all that, as always, this is the Big Sleigh Pumpkin, signing out.